Malo.
Agus G.F.G.T.
Welcome to our first episode on Get Familiar,
Get Talking podcast, hosted by the Irish
Kiwi
duo the whole world didn't know it needed.
I'm Shah.
And I'm Laura.
In this episode, we will be talking about
expectations in our 20s.
Our keywords are marriage, education,
and freedom.
So squat, handstand, sit back, and relax. So how was your 20s?
Ooh, eventful. I'd say probably the biggest roller coaster I've ever been on. A lot of ups and a lot of downs.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think going into your 20s, I always had these expectations that it was all up. There was going to be no downs. It was going to be easy cruising, easy sailing through life. But it's hard. It's so difficult.
Hard. It's difficult.
Weird transition of being a kid to suddenly expecting to magically transform into an adult overnight. You know exactly what you want to do, exactly where you're going to be and what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And you're like, I don't even know how to set up an electricity bill. I don't know what a tax return is. Oh my god,
this like me.
It's, there's just so much pressure on having it all together, and you think that it's just, nobody makes out like it's gonna be hard. Everyone's just like, you're in your 20s now, you're grown up, and you're like, am I?
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
When did this happen?
Because you come from being, I don't know if the right word sheltered is the right one, but you go from that to all of a sudden being shoved into the big world.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big one, and that's one of our buzzwords, education. I was 17 going off to college. How is a 17-year-old who was only a baby? You don't know jack shit about life. And they're like, no, you need to decide what you're doing for the rest of your life. And even younger than that here, you have to choose the subjects that you want to do at school when you're 14, 15, and that's going to determine what courses you can do and what colleges you can go to, and that is insane.
We're only being told what's out there instead of experiencing it. Yeah,
you're it's still crazy. In such this safety bubble of going home, and your mum and dad have your dinner on the table for you. Nobody prepares you for the fact that when you live by yourself, you have to know what to cook for dinner 365 days a year. Nobody prepares you. Nobody prepares you for the fact that vegetables expire so fast.
Oh my god, yes. Yes. I remember the first time I had to go through that, and I was like, what the hell? I just brought this yesterday and it's already gone horrible.
Yeah, I didn't understand that broccoli went off so quick. I bought broccoli, and I went to the fridge 2 days later, and I was like, "You're not green anymore," and that's kind of alarming. And I don't know if I should eat you.
What is it? The avocado, my favorite, but I have to eat the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't have enough time. There's a time limit on eating your avocado. It's like you check it at 2:00 and you're like, oh no, it's not ripe enough yet. And then at 3 p.m. suddenly it's all soft and chunky. You have to throw it in the bin. Oh my god.
I think education. I'm not sure. I feel like it was. I'm not saying that previous generations are bad. But because it was imprinted in them that their kids should, school straight after, go to university, that's the way it should be. But I feel like it shouldn't.
It's this weird limbo of everywhere wants you to have a qualification, but they still want you to be young and fresh to the market, but with heaps of experience behind you. And you're like, how can I tick all of these boxes of having the relevant qualification, having the 10 years experience, and being 25.
Exactly.
How? It is so impossible and such an unnecessary pressure to be putting on people. I think, to be honest, I think experience is probably more valuable than education.
Yeah.
I don't fully, I obviously understand education for certain, you're not going to let a brain surgeon that doesn't have a degree operate on just because they're like, oh, I have 3 years experience poking around brains. You're not gonna that one's not gonna fly.
Yeah, that's not gonna because I had a friend who owned a business, and she was saying that when she interviewed people, she had people that went to university applying at her work, but like they studied religious studies. They had nothing to do with like the type of job that they were applying for, you know, but like no one would hire them because they had no experience at all.
Yeah. And I think it's quite a harsh reality too for people that come out and they have their qualification, they've put in those 4 years or 6 years or whatever, worked their ass off, probably did how many all-nighters trying to get assignments submitted and studying for exams and all of that pressure and all of that stress. And then suddenly then they're released into this world, can't get a job in what they have their qualification in, and they have to settle for a job that they could have gotten without going
through all that.
anyway.
Yeah.
And do you know, I'm not working in a job relevant to my degree at all. I kind of came out of college and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, I got a degree. Don't know what to do with it, but I got one.
But you know? do you feel like it's because you had to decide, like, you know, you need the money, so you're just applying for whatever's out there, or would you wait?
You know, I would say it's like a combination of needing money. I studied quite a difficult career path.
I feel like it's also who you know in the business world these days. Like,
big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Like there was a lot of people from my course that kind of stayed in Ireland. There's one of my friends, he's down in Dublin and he's doing like set design and everything, and he's even doing like designs for bars and everything now, like because he just has such a keen eye for design and everything. But that route never really suited me. I always wanted to do the drama therapy kind of thing, like working with children with special needs and everything.
Yeah.
I was dead set that this was what I wanted to do. And then, so whenever I left college, I obviously went traveling for a while. And then whenever I came back, I started volunteering with the Special Needs Foundation in town and kind of realised that for me, it was too difficult. It was really, really hard. And I, you know, big shout out to anybody that does like special needs assistance or working with children with special needs and stuff, because it is a really freaking difficult job.
Yeah, that would be really hard.
Yeah, and I was going through like quite a difficult spell of like anxiety and everything, and I, you know, that was affecting me, and in turn it was affecting the experience that the child was having with me, because they could tell that I wasn't 100% and everything.
Yeah.
You know, I could never like fully straighten my head out to be like, no, like I need to focus on the well-being of this child, when I was like being so down on myself and difficult with myself. So took a step back from that. I'm 26 now, but this was before I was 26. Yeah. And I was like, you know what, I need to figure out what I'm doing. I was working a job in town, in a really great company, like a really great company to have gotten in with. But the role that I was in, I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, it's working with machinery. And like anyone that knows me knows I can barely work my phone, let alone like, I didn't want to put Face ID on my phone because I thought the government was looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, little things like that. So I started a new career path now, human resources. I've actually moved into that department at work. And it's the happiest I've ever felt in a role.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's really uplifting. And I'm like, you know, I know I'm 26, but I got there. And I think that's like, it's an important thing to remember for people as well, that like, yeah, you might go and get your degree and you might have bust your ass off and you might come out and realize, oh shit, like I don't want to do this job.
Yeah.
But it will all come together. Like, it will work out. Acknowledge that it's not what you want to do. Take that step back. Be like, do you know what? This isn't going to make me happy. Because if it doesn't make you happy, like, what the fuck is the point?
I do know of someone that didn't like his job and he was just miserable and he quit. So like, props to him for doing that, because, you know, it's also your well-being. Like, don't stay in a job that you're going to hate, that you could also get stuck in for the rest of your life, I reckon. Yeah. And it's also never too late to study again. If you're like, oh crap, now I know what I want to do, I'm going to study, definitely do it.
It's never too late for an education.
Never too late, yeah. But don't rush yourself into study. Oh my goodness, what kind of message are we trying?
We're so inspirational.
Yeah. You know, we're firing kind of people. No, but this is just our view, it's, just do you, obviously, but
yeah, like some people be so lucky and walk out of their college education at 22, land the job of their dream, and then work in that role for the rest of their lives. And big props to you if you do. But for the other people that come out of it and they're like me and they're like, oh shit,
yeah,
what do I do?
Shit. Yeah, because I mean, like, you do feel a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. People may not say it straight to you, but like, in school they say, oh, get ready for university, and then you're kind of thinking, okay, that's what I have to do, or you do it to make people around you happy, when really you're like, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So, if you want to find yourself or whatever, travel, if you want to, obviously.
Do it.
Yeah, definitely do it. It
such an advocate for traveling.
Yeah, because when you're quite sheltered when you were, would you say a teenager or?
Oh, I was always a little bit backward, as my dad put it at one point. When I was really, really young, I was really shy, like would not talk to people at all. Didn't really have an interest in engaging with people, to be honest. And then one day I asked if I could go to a drama academy that had opened in town. Went to that, and it just slowly started bringing in this new sense of confidence in me. And I started being able to talk to people and started becoming more friendly and approachable, and transformed me. That was always why I kind of wanted to go down that route, is because I was like, I kind of want to help a kid that was like me, that was just so nervous. But then I found as I got older, I kind of started reverting back a little bit. Like whenever I got into my 20s, there was a lot of really difficult shit that happened in college, and that's probably a topic for another day. I felt really excluded, really alone. It was probably the loneliest time I had in my life, was probably in my first year and the start of my second year of college. Really isolating. Kind of got to a point where I wasn't leaving my flat anymore. I had kind of pushed all of my friends away, and kind of intentionally as well. Like, I didn't want them to care about me because I was going through a lot of stuff. Like there was a lot of bullying and everything going on that I was trying to deal with, and I didn't want people to feel like they were burdened with me, because I was like, college is meant to be the best years of your life, and mine aren't, but that doesn't mean that my friends should have to suffer at the hands of me having a shit experience. Like, they should still be having a good one. So I became really difficult to be around, and like didn't want to talk to people, and just spent a lot of time in my room, stopped going to my class. It's funny because it's probably one of the saddest memories that I have of my 20s, but it also led to like one of the happiest, because there was a girl that I had met in first year, and I had met her when I was really, really drunk and don't remember actually meeting her, but I wrote her name down so that I could add her on Facebook the next day. I had this name on my phone, and I was like, who in the frig is Neve? And I was like, who is this? So I went on Facebook, and I was like, I have no recollection of her. And I was like, I must have been chatting away to her for ages last night. So I added her anyway, because I was like, I'll see her around again, and maybe she remembers talking to me. And then it was this weird thing of like, we never saw each other during the day, but we would always bump into each other on nights out, and we would always take a photo together and then part ways. One day when I was going through like this really shitty down spell, she just messaged me out of the blue, and she was like, we should meet sometime and go for coffee in college. And she was like, because we only ever see each other when we're out. And she was like, we could have a little catch up. And for some reason I was like, no, do you know what, I am gonna meet her. So I went, and we sat, and instead of coffee, I do believe we had a pint. And
well, that's similar, I guess.
Yeah. It was such a turnaround point for me. I don't even know if she knows how much that day meant, and how important that was for me, and how much that brought me out of that downward spell. And I was like, do you know what? I was like, maybe I can have friends here, and maybe I don't have to be alone, and maybe people do genuinely want to help and want to listen to you and don't want you to have a shit experience. And I think maybe I was just surrounded by the wrong people.
Wrong people, yeah.
Yeah, and And, you know, she introduced me then to all of her friends who are now my friends, and we're all still in contact. And it's such a great, like, supportive group that if any of us are ever feeling down, like, all you have to do is, like, message into the WhatsApp, and then suddenly there's a video call going on, cry over video camera.
Aww.
And they're like, you know, and they're validating all of your feelings, because sometimes I feel like you can very much get like, do you know what, like, I'm being so stupid now. These people have accepted me for who I am. And
this is beautiful. This is all. I hope this person is listening, because whoever you are, you're awesome.
It's kind of one of those things that I wish I could go back and tell myself that when I was in those really down days, like, nah, do you know what? The good is coming, and the good will show itself. It's very easy to get lost in it and be like, do you know what? Like, this sucks. I hate college. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
And, you know, so easy to spiral in it. But if there's anybody that is having a bad time with anxiety or battling depression or anything like that, the good's coming. It really is. I'm such an advocate for the good is coming, because I thought there was no good coming, and I was convinced that I was going to leave college and move back home. And I think that probably would have gotten me more down, even though, Jesus, I love my parents to tiny little pieces, and would have been more than happy to move home to them. But I think I would have felt disappointed in myself as well.
Those girls are so lovely. Love people like that. And they probably don't know that they're making a difference in someone's life, because, you know, we never know what people are going through.
The freedom to be able to show your emotions to your friends as well and not feel in any way judged for it. Amazing. Amazing. Like, I think we've all seen each other cry at this point. I think they saw me cry over a cappuccino one day, and they didn't judge me. You know, they understood that I really wanted that cappuccino, and it didn't work out.
And it just didn't work out,
You know, they empathized with me. They didn't judge. It really does give you another sense of freedom in yourself to just, again, be 100% authentically you. And I think it's so important to just be 100% you, because it's so hard to do as well. Like, it's so hard to understand who you are. Like, I think a lot of your 20s is finding out who you are.
It's also, for your 20s, you're still young enough to make mistakes, you know?
Exactly.
So just I'm not saying, like, make so many mistakes before you're 30, but that, you know, if you make a mistake, just be like, okay, like, it's all right. And just try again, you know? It's okay.
And if someone's listening to this and they're in their 30s and they're still making mistakes, say, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. You just wait till your 40s, okay?
I'm sure we'll make
work in your 40s, well, 50s.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll make another podcast in our 30s and being like, yeah, still making mistakes.
Yeah.
Educating yourself about who you are, what you want, what your standards are. You know, what's gonna make your life what you want it to be.
Exactly. And people out there that say lower your standards, don't. Like, seriously, don't. I see it all over social media, and I'm like, no. Don't lower your standards.
Yeah.
For anything, okay?
Let's emphasize that. For anything.
Yeah, for anything. You can't feel free until you just let yourself go. Like, do things that make you happy. Don't do things just because it makes others happy, or you want to avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Just do you. Just do you.
Okay, people. Say it louder for the people in the back. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, we have not touched on marriage.
Marriage.
So what were your expectations? So for anyone that's listening to this that doesn't know me or Shar is married with two little the most beautiful, and I'm not just saying that because I'm slightly biased, but they are the most beautiful babies I have ever seen. And I am not married with any babies. I have no babies. Which I think is quite an interesting, like, little comparison to go through, because the two of us have such different experiences as well.
Yes, very different. I think for me, growing up, I wanted to be, you know, that cool single auntie, comes and goes when she pleases, you know.
My life.
Yeah. And, well, yeah, and obviously it didn't turn out that way. Not saying that I'm not, happy with being married and stuff, but, things can definitely change as time goes by. Yeah.
I think even, like, I was the polar opposite. I thought I was going to meet the love of my life when I was in my teens. We were going to stay together, be married by the time I was 28, have 2 kids. No, 3 kids, sorry. Two twin girls and a little boy.
Oh, damn.
all by the time I was 30. So, first 2 years of marriage, I was expecting to have 3 newborn babies, pretty much.
Yeah.
So stupid. Wanted like a massive wedding with hundreds of guests. I wanted a tailor-made dress just for me, and just such unrealistic, ridiculous expectations around marriage. I find that those pressures can also force you to overlook flaws. If you're in a relationship that's not great for you, and you're like, it's not what I thought it would be, and you're not 100% happy, you can kind of start to try and overlook that stuff because you're like, I'm on the clock. I feel like I always kind of thought if I didn't achieve that, and if I wasn't married, I somehow failed. If you marry that person and you're still trying to overlook those flaws, like, eventually they're gonna bite you in the ass. There's only so long that you can pretend to be okay with things.
Exactly.
It can be scary becoming single, like, in your late 20s. Well, I say late 20s like I'm ancient, but I became single when I was 25, and I was like, oh God. I was like, I'm 25. It's like, I'm going to be 30 in 5 years. I was like, oh my God, I'd want to be going out with someone for like 5 years before I'd even think about getting married, which means that I'll be 30 before I get married. And oh my God, what about babies? And then spiraled. Oh my God, did I spiral? And I was like, oh Jesus. And, but it was so worth it because, I know it was scary and everything, but now I'm in a relationship that I know I'm 100% happy in, because I know what it's like to not be 100% happy, and that it's, you kind of have to put yourself first.
Definitely put yourself first.
And I know it's important to look out for the other person that you're in a relationship with, and you don't want them to get hurt or anything. But like, you really need to look after yourself too, and look after your own well-being and your own happiness, because no one else can look after your life for you. Like, you have control of it. So whatever happens in it, you have to decide. So it can be scary to take those steps as well. But
definitely scary.
Like, I don't think there's any pressure on getting married, and I'm very much in that mindset now. Like, I was just like, you know what, if I'm 35 getting married, who gives a shit?
Who cares? Honestly. Like, it's not everything, marriage. It's not everything. I think you when you meet the person, don't just get married because you're getting older, or because people around you are getting married, or don't feel pressured to get married. Yourself if it's the right person. Best advice with the whole marriage thing is, if the person is willing to communicate with you about anything and everything, and you talk more, it helps it, I guess. Like, that person is willing to compromise, I guess, for you to make it work. That's what. Don't rush into it, man, people.
There's no point rushing. God, if nobody else listens to this podcast, I don't mind, because I feel so inspired.
Here's me talking out of my ass. People say, like, when you meet the person, and I'm not lying, but you really do know when you meet the person.
It's funny, like, because only recently we were down in Dublin, and there was a guy there, and he was like, how do you know if you're in love? And he
Yeah.
was like, do you just know? And he was like, what is it? And he was like, because I don't know if I've ever been in love. And I was like, well, you obviously haven't.
Yeah.
And I was like, because you definitely would know. And he was like, well, is it just that you want to do absolutely everything with them? And I was like, well, I suppose part of it. And I was like, but it's like, for me, it's, you know, whenever you're doing something yourself, you're just like, oh, you know, this would be so much better if they were here, and oh, what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, it's that little feeling inside you whenever you see them, and you're just like, oh, hi.
Yeah. It's like when you think of them a lot of the time, or I think the thing that really gets me is when the other person thinks of the little things that no one else would think of, but they do it for you without you asking. That's like big plus for me. Big plus.
Yeah. Get you a man that does the dishes.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it's very attractive when they do housework. When they do housework.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh my God, you really do love me. Marco and Jack are going to listen to this podcast and be like, oh my God, you love me because I do housework.
Don't feel pressured, even by your partner, if they want to get married. Just, it's okay to say no. But it would really suck if they proposed to you in public, because you know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if it's a big public proposal, just be like, can we talk about this later?
Yeah. Can you get up and let's just walk away?
Yeah.
But now, because we've pretty much covered all the keywords, I think.
We have indeed.
So we have a little segment which is called "In Case Nobody Told You Today."
So you can spend so many years of your life trying to fit the image that you feel society expects of you. You don't need to change. You're fucking perfect.
Wow, I love that. I love that.
Right, folks. So I think that's probably enough of us blabbering for our first episode.
Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast,
please share, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review.
To catch all the latest from us, follow our Instagram at G.F.G.T_podcast and our Facebook at caps lock G.F.G.T podcast.
And once again, thank you so much for listening. And if you are still here at the end, fair play to you. And we will see you next time.
Happy trails!